this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So we're in the middle of Veganuary, and of course mainstream media has to come out and try to debunk veganism during the month that we're trying to spread awareness of the many benefits of people adopting plant-based diets. So I'm talking about a magazine called Healthy Magazine, which I find quite ironic because they don't really seem to understand all that much about health and vegan diets. Well, let's take a look at this article that recently came out called "Is Going Vegan Good for You?" So right away in the first sentence of this article, their anti-vegan biases are very clearly on display here. They say, experts say deficiencies linked to vegan diets are impacting our brains. So what are the risks of a restrictive diet? So first of all, deficiencies. They just flat out assume that there's going to be nutritional deficiencies if you eat a vegan plant-based diet, and these nutritional deficiencies negatively impact our brains. Furthermore, they say that what are the risks of a restrictive diet? Like, what is restrictive about a vegan diet? Last time I checked, there were tens of thousands of edible plants that we can eat. So yes, vegans don't eat any animals or any of their secretions, but nonetheless, there's inherently nothing restrictive about a vegan diet. So as we'll see here, this article in Health Magazine is just completely riddled with misinformation and just downright incorrect information, things that are just demonstrably factually wrong. Let's look at this claim here at the beginning where they say whether being vegan is healthy or not is still subject to debate. Well, yeah, of course, you're going to always have someone take the contrary position. They might not have any actual evidence or facts to support their position that vegan diets are unhealthy, but it's a well-known fact that vegan diets are healthy as according to the largest group of health professionals in the world. We're talking about the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and they say very clearly in their position paper here how appropriately planned vegan diets are nutritionally adequate and healthy for people in all phases of life. And I want to emphasize, this isn't just a bunch of guys sitting around in their armchairs just making stuff up. No, this is based upon a large sampling of the scientific evidence. In fact, if you look at the reference part of their position paper, there's over 100 studies cited. So for the rest of the article, they focus on certain key nutrients that they believe vegans are dangerously deficient in. And I'm not going to focus on each one of these because it would take me probably half an hour to cover them all. But let's start off with the big heavy hitters here, such as vitamin B12, which they start their whole discussion with here, saying that it's probably the most widely discussed nutrient that vegans are in danger of not getting enough. Well, and right after that, they make their first completely factually wrong statement about nutrition here, where they say that vitamin B12 can only be found in animal products, and that's completely wrong. It's found in plants. In fact, duckweed, have you guys heard of duckweed? We've made a lot of videos about that over the past few years, how there's at least 3 bioavailable forms of vitamin B12 in duckweed. And guess what? Duckweed is a plant. So next, the article cites an expert who doesn't provide any kind of scientific reference that 50% of vegans are deficient in vitamin B12. Well, let me actually provide you a scientific reference of just regular non-vegans, just normal North Americans, and approximately 40% of these non-vegan North Americans have low or dangerously low vitamin B12 levels. So please don't tell me that B12 is a vegan issue. B12 absorption is an issue that can affect all people. And that's why everyone should just simply take a vitamin B12 supplement. And by the way, here's my B12 levels for my last blood test, and as you'll see, they're on the upper end of the reference range. I'm like in the top 1 or 2%. I'm far, far from being vitamin B12 deficient. And of course, they have to bring up an issue regarding protein, specifically amino acids, the essential amino acids, which they claim are in all animal foods, but is the implication that they're not in plant foods? They must think that because the expert later goes on to say that if you're following an all-plant diet, you have to combine your foods very carefully and make sure you're getting all your amino acids. So what's the deal? Are plant foods lacking in all the essential amino acids?
All essential amino acids originate from plants and microbes, and all plant proteins have all essential amino acids. The only truly incomplete protein in the food supply is gelatin, which is missing the amino acid tryptophan.
So yes, once again, this article is factually wrong here about plant-based proteins not having all the essential amino acids and advocating that us vegans do some kind of form of protein combining. Have you heard of that? Hopefully you haven't, because it's a long debunked theory.
40 years ago, the myth of protein combining came into vogue. Literally, the February 75 issue of Vogue magazine. The concept was that we needed to eat complementary proteins together, for example, rice and beans, to make up for their relative shortfalls. This fallacy was refuted decades ago. The myth that plant proteins are incomplete, that plant proteins aren't as good, that one has to combine proteins at meals, these have all been dismissed by the nutrition community as myths decades ago. But many in medicine evidently didn't get the memo.
So next, one of the experts in this article goes after vegans for being deficient in vitamin D, and I have yet to see a study that says that vegans are inherently deficient in vitamin D. This expert also goes on to recommend that children should supplement in vitamin D, which is probably a good idea depending on your skin tone, how dark your pigment is, and where you live latitude-wise. But let's take a look at an actual study that checked in to see if vegans or vegetarians are deficient in vitamin B12, and they found conclusively no. No, diet was not related in any way, shape, or form to vitamin D levels, high or low. The variables that did matter most were things that I mentioned earlier, such as your skin pigmentation and sun exposure. And the reason that the researcher said that diet didn't matter for vitamin D is because few foods provide vitamin D naturally, and only a limited number of foods are fortified. And they said that vitamin D-rich foods are not eaten frequently by many people because they are expensive, such as wild-cooked salmon. Next, this article goes on to say that vegans have inherent deficiencies with iron, asserting that it's harder for us to absorb non-heme iron from our plant foods. What makes it even worse, they say it is thought that around 50% of vegans are deficient in iron. They didn't give any citation, just that it's thought that. Well, let's not just imagine or guess what it might be. Let's look at what the actual facts say.
It is commonly thought that those who eat plant-based diets may be more prone to iron deficiency, but it turns out they're no more likely to suffer from iron deficiency anemia than anybody else.
Okay, so now that we've shown that the article was lying about it's thought that 50% of vegans are iron deficient or anemic, let's take a look at their other claim here, that it's harder for us to absorb this plant-based non-heme iron. They're asserting that heme iron for meat is better because it's more absorbable. Well, let's see if it's really better and if it's more healthy or not.
If you just look at iron intake from meat, it's associated with significantly higher risk for heart disease. The intake of meat iron, but not plant iron, was associated with increased risk of stroke as well as diabetes. Higher animal iron intake significantly associated with greater risk of type 2 diabetes, but not total or plant iron.
It's misinformation crap like this that really pisses me off. No matter how you look at it, plant-based non-heme iron is not somehow inferior to heme iron that you get from animal products. There's no absorption issues. If so, we'd be deficient, as they speculated there. But if you actually look at the data, we're not deficient in iron. And as far as avoiding disease from iron, well, it's clear that plant-based iron is the way to go. Anyway, let's move on to choline. I think this will be the last one I cover. You kind of see the pattern here. They make some lame-ass claim how vegans don't get enough choline. It's hard to get choline in plants. And, of course, there's a giant list of high choline-containing plants that most of us are eating on a daily basis, and I've yet to see any data that vegans are inherently deficient in choline as well. So apart from all the misinformation and just outright factually wrong information, possibly what irks me even more is that when articles like this try to expose vegan diets by talking to a few experts, well, none of these experts know a damn thing about vegan or plant-based diets. In fact, I recognize some of these names right away because I responded to them in past videos where they're just saying complete nonsense, misinformation like this about vegan diets. So why do they keep doing this? I mean, at least in Veganuary, you would think that they would maybe reach out to a vegan doctor when talking about vegan nutrition. No, they go straight to the anti-vegan doctors who are just speculating, making stuff up, not putting out information that is factually based. And that's why, again, I'm so angered. This is an information war. People can just say whatever they want, and mainstream media will print it as long as it fits their agenda without stopping to fact check and maybe get the opinion of actual vegan health professionals before putting out completely irresponsible nonsense like this health magazine. So anyway, guys, leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know if you saw this, and let me know what was your favorite, most amusing, just stupid thing they said here about why vegan diets are horrible and will kill you and all these horrible things. So let me know down below what was your favorite. Hit like, share this video. Until next time, guys, let's keep it vegan.
ease the pain.